When decisions feel slower, this is a sign that your messaging has outgrown you and that it needs to be recalibrated. Welcome to Seven Figure Copy, the show where we refine your messaging so it reflects the level you're now operating at with clarity and confidence. I'm Gina Whitehouse, your expert conversion copywriter, and this podcast is for established, expert-led female business owners who know their work is exceptional but suspect their website and sales copy may be underselling the caliber of what they deliver. In each episode, we'll explore how strategic, ethical copy elevates your website, sales pages, and core messaging so your words communicate trust before someone ever books a consult or starts a conversation with you. If you're ready for a trusted partner who helps you clearly articulate what you do and why it matters, then you're in the right place. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited about the topic we are going to get into. But first, my name is Gina Whitehouse. I am the host of the Seven Figure Copy podcast. I'm your conversion copywriter and messaging strategist. And let's talk about this season really quick. In the first episode, we talked about the market shift that's happening right now, that's happened over the last few months, and how growth creates new pressure on your messaging. And in the last episode, we had the wonderful Jan Ditchfield with us, and we talked about why doubling down on old tactics doesn't solve that pressure. So today I want to get a little bit more into this, and I want to make it more personal for you. I want to ask, what does it look like when your website messaging and sales page copy, website copy, the messaging you're using for all your marketing materials, when it has outgrown you? What does that look like? Now, I'm not talking about your logo. I'm not talking about your colors. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit next in the next episode with my guest next week. But no, we are talking about your actual words, the words that you are using to put yourself out there and attract that ideal target client or customer that you want to work with. So this is what I've been seeing over the last 9-12 months. Okay. I've seen incredibly capable, expert-led women, entrepreneurs, business owners, solopreneurs, delivering amazing results, exceptional results for their clients and customers. But they feel like the words on their website, on their sales pages, that they don't reflect the level that they're actually operating at. What I'm getting at here is they have amazing offers, but the words that are used to describe those offers, the words that people are reading, they just don't do justice to the caliber of what they are offering. So today we're going to talk about how that shows up and what some of these signs are. So let's just dive into this now. The first sign that your messaging has outgrown your business is that you hesitate to send people to your website. You may have that little feeling inside your stomach, that little tingle when you have to send the link to your website or the link to your offer or to your sales page to someone who's asking for it. Okay. And verbally, this might show up as you saying, let me explain this first, or, I'm not going to send you to that page yet because I need to update a certain section, or just ignore the top part of that. I haven't updated that yet. Let me just, read the rest of it. Right. Or you just avoid sending it at all. That's not good, right? We want to follow through with what we say, of course. But yeah, there's just like a tension here, and there's that hesitation. When you're feeling this hesitation, it usually means that you have misaligned messaging, that your messaging is ready for an upgrade. So what does this look like in real life? On my end, this would look like a client who comes to me and is perhaps maybe they're working with a different target audience that they were working with like 1 or 2 years ago. Okay, perhaps it could be like a business coach who's now, let's say, coaching 6 to 7 figure earners and not the 5-figure earners that she started with. There's a big change in messaging on how you talk to someone who's a 6 or 7-figure earner than someone who's just starting their business or they're at the 5-figure earner stage. Okay. Over time, we need to go back to our messaging. We need to go back to our websites, our sales pages, the pages for all our offers, even what we're posting on social media, and ask ourselves, has our ideal client changed? Do we need to upgrade the messaging? Does this maybe speak to someone I used to offer my services to 2 years ago, but I don't do that anymore? Or perhaps your services have changed and your offers have changed. You just have to go back and you have to look. So if you're feeling that inner hesitation before you're sending your links to people, this is the first sign that your messaging has outgrown you. The second sign that your messaging has outgrown you is if perhaps you get on, let's say, a 30-minute discovery call with someone and they only understand what you're offering after you explain it to them. You're noticing that on every call that you're talking to someone, you are clarifying the same things. You're seeing common threads there. You are maybe talking about your process a lot. That could be another sign that, again, you're explaining everything too much, okay? And you might be trying really hard to, how would I say it? Explain your value. Explain your value as in who you are and what you have to offer, or the value in that service, product, or offer that you are trying to sell. Here's what I want you to think about. That your website messaging, it should prepare the room before someone walks into it. So before someone books that discovery call with you, or that 15-minute quick chat just to make sure that your product or your service or group program is right for them, they should already be prepared, as in they've looked at your website, they know what you offer, they've gone through your FAQs, all of their hesitations and their objections should have already been addressed in your messaging, which means you might be thinking, okay, well then why would they get on that call with me? They're going to get on that call with you because it's the last step, the last inner check that they're going to have before they say yes, right? You want them walking in there already thinking yes, and now they're just meeting with you to get maybe that one last question answered, or just to make sure that, how would I say it, that you guys jive together. That there's a connection there. Like I've said, I know I've said this in one of these episodes, that I'm not the right copywriter for everybody, and not every client is the right client for me. So when we got on that call, I don't actually answer a lot of really in-depth questions or questions about process or things like that. A lot of times I'm just talking to them and they're telling me about their project and what they have. And it's really just kind of to see if we have a connection, and then it just leads to, okay, are we ready to work with each other or are we not? Okay. So again, that idea of preparing the room before someone walks into it, that's what your website messaging does. So you need it. It's imperative that it speaks to where your business is now, because think about this. If it's speaking to where your business is, right when you started your business, and maybe you work with a different client now, or you're offering something that's even slightly different, when someone comes on that discovery call with you, there's going to be a mismatch. And they might ask you for something. You're like, oh, I don't even offer that anymore. Right. And then you're like, okay, I just put away this 30 minutes to talk to this person, and they came to me for one thing and I don't even offer it anymore. Oops, I didn't update my messaging. I didn't update the copy on my website. Right. Let's get these things updated. Let's get it precisely dialed in so it speaks to your ideal target audience, so that those 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute calls are not a waste of your time, that it's just the first step in someone saying yes to you. Last thing I want to say about that, and this reminds me of a client that I worked with, where I did a lot of audits of her website. And it was so amazing because about 4 months later, she reached out to me and she said to me, it was in a direct message on Instagram. She said, Gina, you wouldn't believe it. When people sign up to talk to her, right, for that discovery call, she said that people are already coming to her ready to say yes. That it's just that final check, right? She works with parents. So parents, they want to know, is this the right person to work with my child, right? As a parent, you're going to do that last minute check. So that's just an example of preparing the room. Did the audits for her. She updated her website. She made sure that she had all those things that would answer those objections and questions that they have. And so by the time they got to talk to her, they were already answered. They were just doing the last check on their list. All right. Number 3 is something that I've been hearing a lot about recently. And this sign is that you're getting attention. Now, I'm thinking right now, social media. In my mind, I'm thinking social media. Okay. You're posting stuff, you're getting attention, People are engaging with your content. They may be joining your wait list for your upcoming program or product launch. You may even be hearing things like, well, I can't join this round, but I'm definitely going to join next time. But then they don't. Or they're booking calls with you. They may be booking calls with you and then last minute canceling. Or you may be hearing a lot of, let me think about it, or I'll get back to you. Or someone saying, I'm comparing a few options. What I'm saying here is that sign number 3 is that you're getting attention, but decisions feel slower. People aren't just jumping like they were 2 years ago to join your program or buy your product. You went through that whole launch. What's the word I'm looking for? The whole, in my mind, I'm thinking right now, launch sequence, because that's something I do for clients is I put the email launch sequences together, but you go through the whole launch process. That's the word I'm looking for, process. You go through the whole launch process to, at the end, get like half as many people into your program or half as many people to buy your product or even less than that. The market has changed, and we've already talked about that a little bit in the first episode, but things are slower. People are a lot slower to make decisions. If you've ever thought, my business has evolved, but my website still feels pieced together, or my expertise is strong, but my messaging doesn't reflect the level I operate at, I want you to know right now that you're not alone. Every established business owner reaches this point where your growth just outpaces your message. And when your message doesn't match the offer or the service you provide now, it costs you credibility, clarity, and premium opportunities. So I'm here today to tell you that I want to help you go from second guessing how you're presenting your offers and expertise to showing up online with messaging that feels cohesive and aligned with the caliber of your work. Today, I'm inviting you to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me to determine whether you need a strategic copy audit or high converting done for you copy that finally reflects the level you're operating at. Go to the show notes today to book your call or visit www.whitehousesm.com. So this kind of goes back to what we just talked about, is that we want to address any friction points in your copy or messaging that would cause someone to make a slower decision. All right. I believe I've said this before somewhere, but I'll repeat it again. Sit down and brainstorm all the questions that you get all the time, or any objections that you hear a lot, or any hesitations that your target audience would have. Okay. And then we need to take that and we need to address those in the copy. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. You can do that with an FAQ section. That's a really good way. But there's also other ways, and I'm not going to go into it now because this would be a whole other episode and it'd be a very long one. There's other ways to weave these things in the different areas of your website copy and in your sales page copy. The different, it comes down to sales psychology, and in different areas, putting little things in there that that's something I'm trained in as a conversion copywriter to go and do. So when decisions feel slower, this is a sign that your messaging has outgrown you and that it needs to be recalibrated. Now, sign number 4 is that you still sound like an earlier version of you. So I want you to think back, who were you talking to 2 years ago? What kind of clients and customers were you selling to or were you working with? If your ideal client or your target audience has evolved over time, messaging needs to change. So let me give you an example of this. Perhaps in your business, and I'm thinking like of a business coach right now, or a business strategist, or it could be like a sales coach. Anyone who's working with business owners. When you first started your business, you may have just taken any business owner, as a client to work with because you just needed to get your feet wet and you needed to get your business going and get some income coming in. So a lot of times when that happens, right, you just take whoever comes along and you're talking to everybody. And when I say you're talking to everybody, it means the messaging you're using is very broad. It may be vague, but what I'm thinking in my mind, I see a picture just like very broad, all-encompassing, like a large umbrella of your copy just encompasses a lot of people, okay? Because you're bringing in anybody, right? And so some of the language you might use is, oh, I help overwhelmed entrepreneurs, or I help overwhelmed business owners, blank, blank, blank. Okay. That may have pulled them in then. But let's say now it's 2 years later, you're working with a totally different business owner. You're working with someone who's not a beginner. They may be more sophisticated. You might be working with people solving a very specific problem. So to use the words, I helped overwhelm the business owners. Well, again, overwhelmed is just a very big encompassing word. Overwhelmed may be too broad. What you need to do now is to paint that picture of what overwhelm looks like. In my mind, I see on paper, like at the top of a 8.5 by 11, the word overwhelmed. And then I see like 3 lines coming down, and those lines we're now like diagramming and brainstorming. Okay, what does overwhelmed look like? And how is that showing up in their world? Like, what is some specific ways that they are overwhelmed without saying overwhelmed? Okay. This is leveling up your messaging. Okay. This is now really honing in and speaking to the person that you speak to now, or the person that you're trying to speak to, speaking their language. All right. So the point I'm trying to make is your business has evolved. So sign number 4 is, again, you sound like an earlier version of yourself. You sound like who you used to work with, but who are you working with now? Who are you selling to now? Okay. Another way that this shows up is softening strong statements, or, again, over explaining or over educating instead of positioning yourself as an authority. There's a difference between content that you put out there that educates and content that positions yourself as an authority, as an expert-led person. So after all this is said, your language needs to mature as your business matures. So if your website messaging still sounds like year 1, but you're in year 5, then your words are underselling you. They need to be recalibrated. Last sign we're going to talk about right now is sign 5. And this is when you're in constant tweak mode. We have all been there. I've been there in other businesses that I had. And even when I started with my own business here, my copywriting business, I was constantly tweaking. And like I've always said, and you've probably heard me say it before, it's so hard for me to write for myself because I'm in my business. I love writing for other people, but for myself, not so much. Anyways, you're in constant tweak mode. This looks like changing your headline 3 times a year or more on your website, or even a headline that's on your social media channels, that kind of thing. You've maybe rewritten your bio over and over, or your about page, or you're just constantly adjusting things, just trying to make them, just a little better, right? Speak a little bit more to this person that you want to work with. But here's the thing, when you are in tweak mode, you may think that you are being productive, but you're not. What you're really doing is you're tweaking and adjusting what I would say is like the surface, instead of recalibrating the foundation of your messaging. And again, this goes back to patchworked messaging. I've used this phrase before where, you work on one part of your website here, and then, 6 months later, now you're tweaking this part of that same page. And over time, you haven't looked at it like in a long time. Now you look at it and it's all patchworked together. Okay. We want to move away as established business owners. We want to move away from having patchwork messaging. And what we want to do is invest in recalibrating the foundation of your messaging so it's set. And maybe 2 or 3 years from now, it needs to be changed again and recalibrated, but you have a good foundation and start to move forward for your website copy, your messaging for your sales pages, any social media messaging, and that kind of thing. So ask yourself now, am I in constant tweak mode? Because this is sign number 5. Let's talk quickly about what this all means. Okay. Let me tell you what I am not saying. I'm not saying that you need to go find a new niche, however you want to say it. It doesn't mean that you need to burn everything down. It doesn't even mean that you need a complete rebrand. This isn't about rebranding, right? This is about honing in on your messaging and recalibrating. All this means, if you went through listening to this and you heard the 5 signs and you identified with at least 1, 2, or 3 of them, what it means is just that your messaging has not caught up to the growth where you are now. I have something for you, and that's my copy caliber checklist. So this is kind of like what I've given you today is a small version of that checklist. I highly recommend it. You can go to www.whitehousesm.com/caliber. That's CALIBER. Download the checklist. You're going to print it out, or you can look on your computer. I like to print things out because I like to hold them. And you're going to go down the list, and I'm giving you examples of each checklist item too. So if you're like, oh, I don't completely understand what that is, I'm giving you an example. Okay, so you understand. So you can use this and see, okay, do I need to recalibrate? Do I need to bring in someone to help me refine my messaging and bring it up to my business growth? Or do I need new copy? We don't know. But in that caliber checklist, at the end, there's a diagnostic, and it says basically, if you checked off this many, then this is where you are right now, and this is what you may need. Okay, so make sure to download the copy caliber checklist today. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Thank you for allowing me to be in your ears and explain these 5 signs to you. In the next episode, we're going to talk about what happens when these messaging gaps start to show up visually and when your brand actually no longer matches your business, because branding and messaging, they go hand in hand, they go together. And I am bringing a marketing strategist to talk with us, Shauna Thayer of Bloom Creative, and she's really great. I love her. I've used her for my own business. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the internal mismatch that sometimes becomes visible. So before you ever change a logo or redesign your site, which we're going to talk about a little bit next week, I want you to recognizing the messaging shift that you may need first. All right, everybody. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on this episode of 7-Figure Copy. If this conversation resonated and you know that your messaging, that your copy is not matching the caliber of the wonderful work that you do, then please reach out to me at whitehousesm.com to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat. Let's see if we're the right fit for each other and if I'm the right conversion copywriter for you. And I'll see you next time.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.